A spreadsheet can help you in many ways as you're assembling assessment data. In this example, I simply use the 8 principles for science practice through inquiry as the evaluation criteria. I'm also making the language used by students and the quality of the product that they turn in, be it a lab report or presentation, as criteria that I will also evaluate. I would embed the concept understanding within the different levels as I spelled them out. Once completed, you could distribute this rubric to your students along with the assignment so they'd know exactly how they'd be graded. Observe how I gave each criteria a test item number. Opening another tab on the spreadsheet, I now put the test items across the top, and I created the first column to be the students. I then gave myself 2 columns in which I could put in different attributes for the student. For example, whether they were English language learners or if they had an IEP. And I just arbitrarily put in another column that you could label with any other type of attribute that you wanted to sort on later. Through the magic of a random number generator, I arbitrarily created scores from 1 to 4 that matched the rubric. Of course, in real life, you would put in the actual score that each student got on each test item. Taking advantage of the power of a spreadsheet, I put in a formula for average that went across the row so that I could see the average of the different students. I also put in an average formula going up the column so that I could see the average grade that was achieved for each one of the test items. Since this spreadsheet is essentially designed as a database with information in every one of the cells across the top row and also in every one of the cells down the left column, I can now do some sorting and filtering. Then clicking anywhere within this data grid, move over to the data ribbon by clicking Data at the top, and first I am going to choose to filter. Then based on what attribute you might want to look at, you would then click the drop-down arrow for the characteristic that you want, and you can see here that under my first student attribute all are selected, so I deselected that, and let's see how the IEP students are doing. So I click that, I click OK, and notice that my database has been shrunk, so to speak, so that I can only see the results for the 2 IEP students. And based on what you want to do next, you might decide to return your entire database. So I clicked the filter over the attribute that I had selected on, and I'm going to return it by asking it to select all the items, and I'll click OK. As you can suspect, you can check any one of these other attributes throughout to see other scenarios that you might be evaluating in your own head. One way to remove the filtering would be to simply click it off using the ribbon bar option at the top. Sorting is another useful feature, and let me show you the larger scale sort option by clicking on the sort button at the top. Notice how with the dialog box open, you can see an outline of all the data that it's going to bring in, including this bottom row that has the averages, which really wouldn't be meaningful in this case. So let's close the dialog box and set up some other parameters at first. A way to minimize problems with sorting would be to click and drag over the area that you want to sort, and then you would open up your sort dialog box again and choose what areas you want to sort on. Notice that it default understanding that I had a header row. Okay, I'm going to click it back on. And now I can choose to sort by some of the items here. Maybe I want to sort by this second attribute, which I still have labeled attribute 1, and I'll leave it for the default of values, but let's go over and add another level to sort on, and let's sort now to see how they did on test item 4, and I'm going to click OK. So you can see that I've now sorted out by the attribute here, which just was an aggregate grouping called Other. I went and then sorted within these other categories by their scoring. Now be careful when you're doing any of this work that you don't leave out important information. It can be easy to have what appears to be good data, but maybe you've lost a column in the process. As you get practice working with spreadsheets for gradebooks, you'll find many ways that can help you draw conclusions, particularly in our high-stakes time of data-driven instruction.